Let's take a look now at GarageBand's keyboard and musical typing features so that you can begin playing keys with inside of GarageBand. I'm going to go ahead and select the piano at the bottom so we know that we're on that track. And then I'm going to go to the top, select Window, Show Keyboard. Here you can see an on-screen keyboard that you can play within GarageBand. So I can hit the notes here. And it becomes an easy way for me to select and play music if I don't have an actual keyboard hooked up to my computer. Now this is great if you're playing sound effects using the arpeggiator or just doing maybe some basic note or chord progressions. But for more technical things, it can be a little cumbersome trying to click on these notes to play. So you can use GarageBand's musical typing feature. If I select the button next to the keys, it'll bring up the musical typing keyboard. Here you can see a bunch of different options. The main thing to note is the keys down here. These keys of the keyboard are represented by the buttons on the computer. So I can click them with the mouse, or I can hit the button on the keyboard to play the note. So here I'm hitting the A to play the C note of the keyboard, the S to play the D note of the keyboard, the D button to play the E note of the keyboard, and the F to play the F note of the keyboard. This makes it a lot easier for me to play and create chords. I can be a little more technical as long as I know where the buttons of the computer are corresponding to the keyboard notes. Of course, if you've been playing keys, this will become a little more natural to you. Might be a little harder if you've never played keys before. If you're learning to play the keyboard or using GarageBand's lessons, I strongly urge and suggest you to get an actual keyboard and hook it up through USB or MIDI within GarageBand. But this will give you some very basic functionality to get some key and MIDI sounds within GarageBand. You can also do things like change the pitch bend, modulation, octave, velocity, and sustain of notes while playing. So let's take a look at that now. If I play the A and then hit the pitch bend plus sign, which is the number 2 on the keyboard, you can hear me actually bending the pitch of those notes. Same thing with the 1, which is the minus, I can go down. To change the modulation, we will use numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the computer. You can turn modulation off with number 3. Now, a piano isn't really going to do anything with modulation, so let's go ahead and change this to a synthesizer. I'm going to click on this Steinway Grand Piano track. Then I'm going to go up and click the library button to open up my library. I'm going to go to synthesizer and just click bass, and I'll pick the first one, Agile Synth Bass. I'll go ahead and click on the musical typing screen, make sure it's selected, and play the notes so you can hear what it sounds like with modulation off. Now I'm going to cycle through these and play a note each time that I click a new modulation, and you can hear the sound differences. So that's your modulation. Sustain works like a sustain pedal on a keyboard or piano. So it'll hold out the notes for as long as you hold it down. And it'll allow you to hold this indefinitely until you want to. The octave will actually allow you to choose the octave that you're working on within the piano. So if you look up here, you can see the part of the keyboard that is highlighted that we're playing on, which is about mid-range of the keys. If I choose the Z and X, I can go up and down the octaves of these keys. So at the very top, the C note that I have been playing with the A key is going to sound a lot higher. And if I move down, you can hear the octaves changing. Sounds like when we got down to the lower third parts of the keys here that it kind of stayed the same. So there wasn't much difference. It's going to be dependent on what type of keys or piano you're using. Finally, you have the velocity, which is the attack of the notes when you're playing. So if you barely touch the keys and you have a high velocity, it's going to hit really hard. If you have a low velocity and you just barely touch the keys, the sound's hardly going to come out. So that is GarageBand's keyboard and musical typing feature. It's a great way to get in here and start playing music immediately, and you can do all kinds of things with keys. It can be sound effects, synthesizers, basses. You can have a wide range of sounds and different styles going on at one time with the keys, and this will actually help you get in here and start making music immediately, even if you don't have a keyboard at your disposal.